Hey guys, it's Kossi here, and today I just wanted to do a quick video. My girl Ashley, so she sent me some questions, and she said she wanted to know what it was like as a Black traveler, and of course I had to oblige to her request because Ashley is one of those amazing people that really does care about people, and she just really loves to bring people together and bring awareness. So I was like, sure, I'm gonna answer some questions. So let's get right to it. So the first question is, Kossi, as a Black female traveler, is there any specific story you want to share, or any story that that stands out to you that you feel like you need to enlighten people about, like an experience or something? And I actually think that's a wonderful question because we're here at a very specific time. A lot of things are happening, and a lot of us have had to self-reflect on certain things, and it's been tough, and I just hope everybody's well. The coronavirus, the protests, it's a bit crazy here in Los Angeles, but yeah, one thing I want to make very clear is that every single traveler's experience is different. There is no one way to travel Black. My experience can be different from the next person's experience, but when it comes to traveling, I believe that there are certain experiences that I feel that might be specific to me as a Black traveler. I would say mostly, let's talk about traveling, and let's talk about going through immigration, because that's one of the most important part to traveling. So I would say immigration is one of those things that nobody likes, regardless of color. We don't want it. We don't want to deal with immigration officials because they're very hectic. But I think when it comes to Black travelers, the migration experience is really, really different. It's more of like, it's just a little bit more scrutiny. So when I'm traveling as a Black traveler, I'm aware of that, that immigration could be a little bit more scrutinized for a Black traveler. And this really, okay, so let me just make this very clear that I like to be very objective in my perspective, and I really don't think that this is really specific to race as a Black traveler, but it has race-related roots. So really, I feel that most countries, obviously, if you know more about migration, you see mostly like Black people tend to leave their countries because they're running away from really difficult situations back home, and some of these stories are really heartbreaking. And of course, a lot of them want to run away from war, hunger, whatever it is, insecurity, and you see a lot of them tend to migrate a lot. And we've seen that on the boats of Libya heading to Italy. We've seen that in so many instances. So when you're a Black traveler, you need to know that that kind of like trickles down to you, because unlike a white traveler who could just really go and walk through immigration confidently, because most of the time people from white predominant nations have very powerful passports, as a Black female I have to be a little bit more cautious, because they're going to be looking at you like, are you here to spend just the allotted times given to you, or do you want to overstay, And the reason why I say this is less about race is because this is more about kind of like a self-interest type theory that cuts across a lot of sovereign nations. A lot of people want to stick to, they don't want more influx of people into their country, because they believe that maybe people tend to try to take maybe opportunities from them, public funded healthcare from them, food stamps, whatever it is, So people want to keep things to themselves, you know. And that is like that's something that even cuts across black nations. Take a look at South Africa, you know, against, you know, other black nations, you know. And I'm not trying to call out any country, but I'm just trying to say that this is prevalent in a lot of nations, you know. So when you talk about immigration and dealing with immigration officers, yeah, we black travelers have to be a little bit more cautious. And let me tell you why I tell you that this tends to be less race-based, but of course has race-related origins, is because I can remember traveling with my friend to Thailand, and during that travel, I actually traveled with because I'm a dual passport holder, I traveled with a different passport at that time. And I can remember her going with an American passport, and she was going through Singapore, and it was so easy. She just breezed through immigration, you know. But because I had a different passport that wasn't as powerful as an American passport, and both of us are both black, you know, because I didn't have an American, I wasn't traveling with my American passport at that time, for specific reasons, I was actually held a little bit longer, you know. Oh, let's just verify this or that, you know. So I mean, I was out of there within like 20 minutes after they went in and out. But this just shows you that this is more about the power of the passport that you come with. Actually, when you talk about immigration based scrutiny that a lot of black people face, I think is actually more here in the United States. If you try to come into the United States without an American passport, it is simply one of the most difficult experiences you can ever have. So I would say when you talk about race-based immigration difficulties or protocols, I think America is actually one of the most difficult places, and that you're gonna see that a lot here. But for the most part, most countries, once you actually are nice, obviously cautious, nice, you approach the immigration officer with respect, as you should every time. You shouldn't actually have a problem. Now, another thing that I think that is particular about traveling as black is that whenever I want to travel, I actually need to see how black people are being treated in that particular country. And this has nothing to do with security. Anybody, before you go to a country, should obviously make sure that security wise that you're typically safe, you know. And of course there's like travel advisories and stuff like that, but most especially for black people, we actually do have to really make sure that we know what the black experience feels like in that specific country. Now, I went to Colombia earlier this year, and before I went, I had already heard rumors that Colombia is not the friendliest place for black people, and that concerned me a lot because there are so many amazing things I wanted to see and learn about Colombia. So I went ahead and still decided to book my trip to Colombia. And I would say that I could see those things that people were talking about the race frictions there in Colombia. First of all, the black people in Colombia are extremely impoverished and disenfranchised. They are highly marginalized. And we went to the village of Palenque, which is predominantly black village nation, and we could see how disenfranchised they were because they didn't even have the electricity, they didn't even have water. While when we just came back out and back into Cartagena, we saw more of the development there, and it was as if they were fully forgotten in the villages. And these are the kind of experiences that we talk about. Of course, I enjoyed my time in Palenque, and of course I got amazing pictures and mingled with the Palenque people, and that was one of the best trips I've ever had. And you guys can check out my pictures on my Instagram. But yes, these experiences are really pertinent when you're a black traveler. But when you're a female black traveler, of course you have to pay even more attention to security, because a lot of times you just want to make sure that you don't do anything, because you know that if something does happen to you, you might not get as much attention in the media. And that's just the simple truth. If you look at the terrain in the United States, when things tend to happen to black people or black women, they typically don't get as much sympathy from the media as they do if the person or the child or the woman was white. And that's just the reality. And so when you travel as a black traveler, you're more cautious. You don't want to get into any trouble. You want to respect all the rules, and you're just more guarded. Let's just use that word. So those are my few experiences, and then I'm gonna go ahead to question number 2. So the second question from Ashley was, as a Black female traveler, what are some aspects or things that you see or experience that you feel that, you know, white female travelers might not be aware of? I think that's a very important question, because it's important to educate people. And I know that I have already talked about some of those things in the first question. So for the second question, I would say some of the things that I think that maybe Black travelers are more aware of is just that the lack of equality. Now, that is really important. The lack of equality that Black people face when they travel. Typically, Black people tend to be regarded as second-class citizens, and that is so sad. And if you ask why, you need to go back to the historical context of the Black experience. Obviously, you know that Black people were taken involuntarily, mostly from West Africa, to the Americas to establish certain colonies, and they have been very resilient in establishing these colonies and helping build these countries. But at the end of all that, they also have been highly disenfranchised and marginalized. People say, what is this marginalization I keep hearing about? It's just being away from the center. So the center is typically seen as where all of the privilege, all of the good stuff literally is, the assistance, the, you know, fairness, the everything good is. So when you're marginalized, you tend to be just at the edges, and you're not, you know, you're not really benefiting from what the people, the majority in the middle, are benefiting from. So when you think of Black people and the Black experience, we Black people typically always are aware of the things that Black people face. And it's really important that white people are also aware of this. And why do they need to be aware of this? It just helps because I know some people have heard of white privilege, and when you hear of white privilege, a lot of people think of shame, guilt, sadness, you know, some kind of entrapment, you know. And some people are like, where the hell is this privilege? It's like, I'm trying to survive just as much as you're trying to survive, you know. So why are you telling me that I have privilege because I'm white? Because, you know, it's not like I live in a mansion or something. That is all true, but you need to understand that privilege doesn't really have to do with fiscal cash or money or maybe the size of your house. It's just more of like this intangible, sometimes intangible, because sometimes, a lot of times it's tangible, but for sometimes it's just like this intangible, careless, like, you know, freedom that you have that you don't even know that you have, you know. A lot of people don't even know they have it, you know. You just wake up, you just go do things that you regularly do. Oh, I want to go work out, you know. It's like, oh, I want to do this, you know. You're so free, you know. And you have it, you know. But there are some people really that don't have that, and you'll just be like, what are you talking about? Are you trying to tell me that some people don't have that in America? Yes, a lot of people don't have that, especially in America, and it's sad. But I don't want my fellow white female travelers to feel that white privilege is a bad thing, especially when you use it the right way. And that is why when a white person is, when a white traveler is educated, they're able to educate more people, especially fellow white people from other countries who might not be experienced to when it comes to race relations. So when you have that information, you're able to share it, you know, and when you share, you're able to make the world a more united and a better place for everybody. And that is why I have to actually bring this awareness. And don't get me wrong, I have met amazing people. Some of the best people I've traveled with are actually white. And I love the way they help you, the way they promote you, you know, stuff like that. So when I'm saying this from a place of love, because I know that Black travelers cannot do this alone. So most of the time it boils down to education, you know. A lot of times Black people are highly disenfranchised, and a lot of Black people don't even have the opportunity to travel because sometimes they don't even have the money to travel. So sometimes when we travel, we're a rarity. Like, people don't always see us, you know. Sometimes, let me tell you now, something that happened to me in Singapore. I had random people taking pictures of me in Singapore. It was like they had never seen a black female traveler before. But let me tell you, my hair was popping. I was looking good. I was just walking, and they were just taking pictures of me. They were like, "How can I take a picture with you?" You know, I kind of like felt like a celebrity for a little bit, but I did not feel disrespected because I have lived in an all-black nation before, and I also know how black people tend to look at white people when they come to an all-black nation. So I know it's not coming from a place of rudeness or stuff like that. I just feel it comes from a place of exposure, of lack of exposure. They've never seen this before, and they want to see it. You know, they're amazed by it. So I had people taking pictures of me in Singapore, and I also had that happen to me in Thailand. You know, just people randomly trying to take pictures of me. You know, sometimes I was just like, no, because we couldn't get any pictures taken. So that was one unique experience. So, but it all boils down to education. We want our fellow white travelers to educate people, you know, on the black culture, because a lot of times white Americans, they've lived in a more integrated society where blacks and whites are amalgamated, and it's something that some other white people might not have that experience. So if you're able to really connect to your fellow white travelers, that would be cool and amazing. Another thing is just inclusion, you know, white travelers, including black travelers in their activities. You know, just be open to learning things that you never knew existed. I also come from a predominant black nation, and I typically tend to have a lot of black friends, and at some point too, I wanted to learn something different than I was used to, you know. So I started reaching out to white travelers, and I just started seeing how amazing humanity was, you know, how beautiful people can be, you know. I would rather take anybody from any race than a bad person from, you know, it's just all about the heart. Like, I literally want people to just look at the heart instead of the skin color. And unfortunately, when it comes to race relations, that's typically not what we see. I know we try to make it look as if, like, you know, the ignorant people are the ones that are racist, but when you look at certain policies in certain countries, you see that it's actually, these policies could have been changed if people were more in tune to the pains of black people. And that's one thing I want to put out there. So typically there's so many experiences. I would say that I've had mostly positive experiences and that is why I love traveling. And if somebody came to me and said, "Oh, I had this experience," I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna listen to them, because everybody's experience is different, and I'm gonna want to know what their experience is. So yeah. For me, it tends to be typically good, because I am a Google obsessed freak, and I literally check like the distance between like the airport to my hotel, from here to there. I kind of like do all the calculations before I travel too, so that helps a lot to ease my stress level when I travel. Okay guys, so this is question number 3 from Ashley, and it's, how can white female travelers help black female travelers? Ooh. Now I love that question, because there are so many things, tons of things that white female travelers can do for black female travelers. Number 1, inclusion. Please include fellow black travelers in your activity. And this is really important, because when you include people that are different, they kind of like learn from you, and it kind of like bridges that friction, you know. I promise you, you know, if you open your heart to people you don't know, you would learn things you never knew. And I'm not just taking that from Pocahontas. I'm serious. Like, you would learn things you never knew. There's so many things I've learned from my fellow white travelers. I've learned like literally how to experience travel in a different way. I I have learned, oh my gosh, editing, so many things, like, oh my god, I cannot even name all the things I've learned from my amazing white friends, especially from since I started traveling with Pangea Dreams. They've been amazing, they've been so inclusive. I love them so much, they feel like family. And actually that's how Ashley and I met. So I would say inclusion. Another thing I would say is listening. Please do not discredit anybody's black experience, because it's really, everybody's story is different. So you can meet me, I could have a different experience, and the next person's experience can be extremely different. So when someone wants to talk to you about the experience, please listen to them. Also, please, if you can help raise like funds or scholarships for black travelers who would not otherwise have that opportunity to travel and broaden their horizons, please, if you could do that, then that is amazing, because that's another way to support black travelers. I feel like another way to support black travelers is maybe feature them in your on your platforms or in the media or stuff like that, so other black travelers can see that, oh, she's black and she can do that. That means I can actually also do that. So if you could feature them on your platform or stuff like that, that would be amazing. Another thing I feel that will be helpful for black travelers is try to build like a substantial friendship with them, you know, because I know we travelers, we're so guilty of this, you know, we're all best friends during a trip, and then after that it's just like, okay, see you to your next trip. And we're back to our regular busy lives. We do that a lot, but if we can maintain relationships even after that, and I know we're so busy, like I'm working on my doctorate program, it's so hectic, you know, sometimes I don't even have time to communicate with people, but I try to, as much as possible, keep in touch with my friends from the travel world, and who I actually consider my friends in real life, you know. So if you could do that, that's gonna help a lot. But most importantly, rather, I would say educate. You know, you guys are the bridge, you know, you guys are the bridge to fellow white travelers who otherwise might not have all the information they need to integrate or to have an experience with a black traveler. So if you guys can just educate fellow white travelers on the black culture as much as you can, because obviously you don't know it all, but I mean you have some exposure to it, that's gonna help a lot. Because when you tell the next person, okay, this is my positive experience, they will be open to work with other black travelers, and they'll be also open to learning about the black culture. And oh my god, there is so much more you could do, but these are just a few ones I could think about. Thank you so much, Ashley, for telling me to make this video. You are amazing. I am so sorry that it's so long. Well, I just want to thank you guys so much. I want us to be unified. I know that we can all be one. I know that we can all live in unity. I know that we can overcome anything we set our minds to, because I really believe in the human race. I really do. And I'm an optimist, and I know that we can all thrive together as one race, and I know we could do that. And I love you all so much. Thank you so much for paying attention. I'll see you all next time. Bye.